Welcome to the Bill Brasky.
Hey, so one of the things that I wanted to bring up since we have Wasted here is the person that got me to re-listen to Chinese Democracy and get a different view on it was actually Wasted. And I know Wasted's sober, so he's not going to be able to give his kind of unique perspective as he did to sell me on it. But I would love if Wasted would kind of just go into any degree of his opinion on the album, the songs, or anything about it, because Wasted has the most interesting take out of anyone on the community about that, in my opinion. So I'll shut up now.
In terms of it just being a Guns N' Roses album.
Well, yeah, the way you describe the songs, the way you describe what Axl was trying to do with it, the way you describe...
I think a lot of the songs are very similar to other songs that they've already made.
How so?
Right. I just think that they started off, if you listen to the demos, you know, the tracks from, was it 2000 Intentions era or 2000, they started off with some kind of, they kind of original, like Shackler's Revenge, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shackler's Revenge. It doesn't sound like You Could Be Mine, Bucket's first demo, but they worked on it long enough until it got kind of basically started to sound like You Could Be Mine. In revert, like a new metal, you know, with the soaring chorus. You listen to the beginning of it. It sounds a bit like a distorted You Could Be, and that happens on every song. Sorry is basically Don't Cry. This I Love is basically a pocket-sized November Rain, right? Mm-hmm. It has different sounds. Like it has an influence from all these different places, like new metal but
alcohol.
Dynamically, something like There Was a Time sounds basically like Breakdown. Just listen. If you listen to the arrangement,
I always thought that could have been an illusion song, like an illusion.
Yeah, all of them. All of them.
I want to hear this guy. I want to hear this because this is like actually rather profound.
And Chinese Democracy, the song, is basically jungle, right? It's just a faster, speeded up jungle. The riff is jungle, maybe going, instead of it being a descending chord, it's going up. But it's basically the same kind of riff.
This is a great theory. I've never heard it, but
I've said it for like 10 years.
If that's the case, that it was the label that put it together, because Axl didn't necessarily choose
band members like Fink, everybody said, okay, we know what our job is here. We need to make these songs sound like Guns N' Roses, and that's what they worked to do. But they couldn't get the sound right. But they could, like Fink has quoted as saying, we sort of worked out what Axl likes to sing over. And basically, you can see Buckethead is like playing around in the studio with like Out to Get Me. And then he just ends up with Scraped's riff, something like that.
I like that song,
Yeah.
I like Scraped. I'm one of the only people that like Scraped.
No, I do too. It's very. It has like it reminds me of AFD, and it's own way.
It's like Out to Get Me or something.
Yeah,
and I'm actually lucky. I saw it live. They only played it like 10 times or something.
Yeah, and then disappeared from those. It went down the memory hole. But
it's probably it's never coming back.
I'm fascinated by them. So,
and then you've also got Axl's vocals, which are the melodies. So in the end, you've basically got the band doing an impression of Guns N' Roses. And you've got the singer. So it's, in the end, sounds basically like a Guns N' Roses album played by a new metal band. I say new metal, I mean that very generally.
No, I know what you mean. Like literally a new metal band. But
definitely like a 1999, 2000 era band.
Yeah, that sound is what it was. 9 Inch Nails or whatever.
But basically, it sounds like what you're trying to say. And correct me if I'm wrong.
I like that.
But it's kind of like what you're trying to say, it sounds like, is like that Chinese Democracy is almost like a reboot of Appetite for Destruction, to use modern, lingo, as they say.
Yeah, well, it's half and half, right? You've got songs which are lifted from AFD songs, like Chinese Democracy, Better. Better's basically, it's basically 9 Inch Nails playing Freebird or Sweet Child of Mine, right?
Yeah.
It's the same mid-tempo beat.
But then there's the ones that I like are the ones that I feel could be Use Your Illusion sequels, like There Was the Time or Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, Catcher in the Rye, yeah.
Honestly, those are the more boring tracks to me because my favorite song on that whole album is actually Shacklers, and
but that's
not true.
Track.
Miser, you keep changing your opinion.
Miser
You've
lies.
probably written at one point or another, made a post about how each song was the best one on. I mean,
well, no, I do go through with that particular album. I do go through phases with it because I listen to it and I find.
Because I know, and I've actually agreed with you that I think Catcher. I love Catcher, and some people just think it's a piece of shit, but I think it's. I really love the outro. How it just keeps going. Like he just keeps coming up with more. It reminds me of Coma. How like it just keeps going. I like that.
It reminds me of One in a Million.
Oh yeah.
You know, thematically.
The outro, yeah.
Thematically, it's basically liberal baiting, right? He's just like One in a Million was like baiting liberals in sort of PC non-PC way.
Would you say there's kind of an analogy for Atlas Shrugged? Kind of gives me like a yesterday.
Well, I think it's a balance, isn't it? I mean, it's only based on the titles. Catcher in the Rye is like subconscious, and Atlas Shrugged is a objective book.
But
it's a book about objectivism,
Atlas
right?
It's definitely it's like it's just kind of a generic power ballad, like.
Okay, the song. I'm talking about the two books.
I see similarities with Yesterday.
The two books. So Axel's probably what is he? He's saying in Catcher, he's saying that he doesn't really believe in this subjective take on the world, where you allow people to take loads of prescription drugs and become a school shooter, right? And he's blaming Salinger for creating that with Mark David Chapman, and he's also making a wider comment about school shooters. But with Atlas, it's more of an objective, objectivism. So Axel can't shoulder the kind of, like the industrialists. They're the industrialists that make the world run. Axel is like basically cast himself in that role and said, well, I couldn't take it. I couldn't do it.
I don't think he's smart enough. I think you're reading.
No, I think he's smarter than one.
I think he's not. It's not smart. It's just reacting to a book you read. That you read something like Atlas Shrugged, you feel like a pussy, right? It makes you feel like I'm a fucking retard.
Get past the first few pages.
Gentlemen,
it basically says you don't work. You're not an engineer. You're useless. So
gentlemen, I'm going to waste it. Please continue here in a second. I just wanted to make an official statement from the Brasky Fatcast. Hey, other GNR podcast, suck our fucking dick. This is why we are by far the fucking best, and you suck. Please, Wasted, Miser, ET, enlighten us. Thank you, gentlemen.
Continue, Wasted, please. You actually are like fucking like I feel like I'm going on an acid trip just listening to you. And I mean, I
fucking told you, dude.
I must be wasted.
Yes.
No, because I feel like you really are like opening my mind just listening. So please do continue.
No, I think it's
I've only
great.
got a certain amount of material.
Go ahead.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm sorry to sound like a dick, but there's a bit of college professor kind of wankery in interpreting stuff that we really. I don't personally. Yeah,
we don't know what Axel thinks.
Yeah, but that's
I always want to just hear straight from the artist. I don't want to hear from some smug professor saying, "Oh, well, this is what he means when he did this." Mm-hmm.
But he's not really. I think it's a more general. It's a more general point. Is that just for those two songs? There's a binary there, but I think it's actually still just being a dick. You know what I mean?
But,
he's still rejecting.
I mean, he's so obsessed with what people think about him, and he wanted to be viewed as a serious artist so bad, and he writes this ridiculous fucking word salad bullshit about, if you've ever attempted to read the liner notes he wrote.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he wants to be seen as an intellectual, but everyone's just going to look at. He will forever be, white trash from Lafayette, Indiana.
I think he's got his own, like, almost a style of a take, a way of his take is often very similar. Yeah, he says the obvious thing, and then he reacts against it, and then he kind of comes to a conclusion.
My thing is,
that's always his process on all the lyrics. It's sort of like that. He never takes it at face value. He has to kind of make it his own. It's about him and his reaction to some situation. It just turned out a book it's just basically like a chick.
Right.
If a chick fucks him over, he writes a song.
I don't know how many times I've wished that he would have just let somebody write songs for him and just sing songs. And
yeah, but I wouldn't want to hear him singing bullshit like fucking sleaze metal that somebody wrote. I mean, Chinese Democracy for all its...
I don't know. I would have rather had a mediocre album with one or two good songs on it every 5 years and a tour like Pearl Jam does.
I would rather that too. I get what you're saying, rather than nothing. But
than nothing, which is what we got. Fucking nothing. But hey, good news. Brasky reported it. It's I think we can count on it. There's a brand new song you've never heard, and it's called "Ain't Going Down," and we're gonna hear it on the Use Your Illusion box set.